Hey y'all, how's it going? Welcome to week 35 vlog, and today we are going to sew some things properly. So if you follow my YouTube channel at all, I've had a rough few weeks and I lost a lot of seedlings that were supposed to be for a community garden plant sale, and I was very disappointed in myself, pretty hard on myself if I'm being honest, and so now we move forward. So I wanted to take some time to actually show you how to properly sow seeds. And so what we're going to be doing today, it's the end of August, we have a couple weeks until we can like plant out bush beans and stuff like that. You can direct sow these. I'll explain to you why I'm not going to. It's just because of things I've noticed in my backyard garden. So, if this is your first time here, welcome to Seed to Plate channel. We talk all things gardening, growing, cooking, all the stuff. And I'm Brooke, a suburban urban gardener in Austin, Texas, Zone 8B. So, today we are going to start from seed some beans and some zinnias. Now, these things, hi Lana. I have an indoor seed starting setup for all of my more temperature dependent things. So things that don't like extreme heat, like brassicas, lettuces, dark leafy greens like collards and kale, those all need to be still temperature controlled until our temperatures outside cool down. So stuff like beans can take a little bit of heat, and zinnias love heat. I tried to plant out some zinnias that were super leggy. I didn't harden them off properly and they all died. So we are actually going to start these in seed starting containers, but we're actually going to leave them outside because they're pretty okay with the amount of heat that we have. I like to have them in a more controlled environment. I've found that my backyard garden is on the lower end of what's considered full sun, and so germination tends to be a little difficult. However, I have a ton of success when I transplant stuff out here. So if it's already got leaves, it does really well. If it needs to germinate, for some reason it doesn't do very well out here. So that's why we're going to start these in a tray outside so they can just get some leaves, and then they're already used to the temperatures. If you're new to seed starting, one thing that you're going to want to do if you've worked really hard to start all these seeds and they're growing really well inside, you want to go through the hardening off process. The hardening off process is where you bring them outside for like an hour in the shade and let them get used to the temperature. You do that a couple days, then you slowly just acclimate them into the temperature and the heat and the outdoor conditions. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but it's super worth it, and it's really just the last like 2 weeks of your seedling phase. First things first, we are going to start our beans. Now, people will ask me what I recommend for new gardeners to grow, and beans are like the first thing I recommend. They are the easiest thing to grow, at least for me in my experience, and I love growing them. I have a lot of different kinds. So, and they're really easy to freeze, and just like, you can just do a lot of stuff with them, which I think makes them even better. So I'm going to start some Empress beans. These I got in a seed swap. I will start these. Burpee stringless are really good type of green bean. The Royal Burgundy bush beans, I love these. They just like add a nice deep pop of color to the garden, and they cook up green, and it's just fun to have something different. And then this is the first time I'm ever doing this. These are Dragon's Tongue bush beans. I finally found some seeds at a local store. And then these are just your bush varieties. So bush beans are gonna grow in a bush. They don't really need much support. You can like give them a little bamboo stake, but they don't really need it. And then you also have pole beans. So these are gonna be the same type of just stringless bean, like a green bean, but they're gonna grow up poles. So these I'm actually gonna be putting on my trellises, my arch trellises in the backyard, and we have Ideal Market Black Creaseback pole beans, and these are both from Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. So that's what these are, and then these are Dean's Purple pole beans. So again, just a nice purple, a nice green, and we're going heavy on the bush beans this year, because I just love bush beans. So we have our seed starting tray. This is a 2-tray system. So we have our potting mix, and then we have the tray that holds the water. It's very full of water right now, which is why I'm trying to be gentle. And we have our labels, which I'm terrible at labeling things. I'm really trying to get better. It's probably like my worst garden quality, to be honest. But the nice thing about bean seeds, and this is why I like starting beans from seed, it's like so easy. A lot of other stuff, this is how I screwed up my other seeds. The seeds are teeny tiny, so it's hard to put like one in a cell. These are big. So that's your seed right there. And you do want to make sure your potting mix is moist. I just poured water in this tray, so this water will kind of soak in here, and that'll kind of be how that goes. But you have your seed. Here's your seed, right? Okay. You are going to just stick that guy down in there, and you can stick them in pretty deep. They're pretty large seeds, and that's how easy that is. I will go ahead and run through all of this, and then we'll do the zinnias. Okay, y'all, the beans are done. I've got them sitting in a nice sunny place, and I also made sure to make sure the top of the soil was wet, because sometimes the trays can take maybe like, a while to like actually absorb all the water, and then putting them directly in the sun on a pretty hot day. So that's what's happening there. Next, we are going to do the zinnias. So I have, how many different types? 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of zinnias. I'm a little on the fence on if I want to do this one. I'm trying to really focus on like some fall colors, but we'll probably do all of them. So I think for these I'm gonna go long ways, but I have the Dorado Zinnias. These have been a favorite of mine. They're kind of like a really pretty, almost like an orange sherbet type of a vibe. These Meteor Zinnias are big and beautiful and red. Love these guys. I grabbed a Fireball blend of zinnias. These are just big red and orange, kind of trying to think about fall colors. These Canary Bird Zinnias don't have a picture, and it pains me because I think they're my favorite color of zinnia I've ever grown. They're so pretty. They're like this beautiful, just like warm yellow color. And then I'm also going to do some California Giants, which are these guys, to have for some cut flowers. So we're going to make markers because that's what we do. We make markers. And zinnias are a really great hot weather flower. I really like them. Also, this shirt that I'm wearing is one that is going to be in my shop that I'm opening probably like mid-September. So kind of trying to work out the kinks of the website, but I started designing t-shirts just for funsies. And we'll see how it goes. We'll get our first marker made, and I'll show you what the seeds look like. So flower seeds are generally seeds that are meant to be taken by the wind. So they tend to be pretty small and pretty light, but that's okay. That's not going to change what we do because we're gonna do 1 seed per cell. I think I'm gonna make a t-shirt that says that, 1 seed per cell, because I seem to have the biggest problem with that. So, there's a bug on my foot. So this is what zinnia seeds look like. They're very tiny. It's that little thing that I don't even think my camera's gonna focus on. So zinnia seeds are really small. So what I do is I take something like a pencil, here's a pencil, and I just kind of rough up the surface, and I lay my seed down, and I just barely cover it up. I just put that in the wrong thing. Guys, I'm so good at this. You can put a couple of seeds per cell, that's fine. If they both come up, you can just thin one, but I wouldn't put more than 2. And that's how I do zinnia seeds. Honestly, usually I will end up with a lot of volunteer zinnias because I don't deadhead them. If they if they die, then they just die, and the seeds fall. And so I usually end up with some volunteer zinnias. I have a few of those in my garden right now at the community plot, and I actually have one over here that I don't remember planting that seed. I must have, because there's flower there, but don't remember doing it. So this is how I start flower seeds. The only trick with these is because they're closer to the surface, you do have to like just really make sure that they're wet. So I'll come out here at least a couple times a day and just make sure that the top layer of soil is still wet. But zinnias are great warm weather flowers because they're drought resistant. They actually thrive in the hot weather, so I grow a lot of zinnias here. So I'm going to get these labeled and sowed and put in the sunny spot, and I'll show you where they're at. And also just wanted to say while I'm sowing seeds and sitting here, you can actually direct sow everything that you see here that I'm sowing. You can direct sow this right in the ground you're putting it in. I have just found for some reason that with my backyard garden, things just don't germinate as well. And again, I'm not really sure why. I've always had success with anything I've transplanted back here. But like all of this stuff that I'm doing now, if this were going in my community plot, I would definitely just be direct sowing it. Direct sowing is much easier, apart from just, obviously making sure that it's watered. So in terms of my community plot, when I direct sow stuff there, I have to just make sure I'm going there on the daily. So that can be a little difficult. But direct sowing is certainly preferable. And with this stuff, actually what I'll do is I will pull it pretty quick. So the zinnias, in both instances, I'll actually just wait until the seedlings have like a second or third set of leaves. So they have their first set of leaves that kind of breaks them out of the seed, and then they will have a second and third set of leaves, and that'll all happen probably within like 2 weeks. It really doesn't take very long, whereas a lot of other seedlings, like a tomato seedling, you want to start that like 8 to 10 to 12 weeks, depending on your zone. You want to start that pretty far ahead. You want that to really have some lead time. But stuff like this, I just find that if you need a more controlled environment in starting your seeds, this is just a good way to do this. And also I've just discovered that I freaking love growing flowers. I think I might try and get a little more into flowers next year. I have to see what works well in my environment, because we're pretty hot and humid here. But growing zinnias is like truly one of my favorite things. They're just so bright and happy, and especially like in the summer when everything else is kind of having a hard time growing, the zinnias always just give you that like happy moment that you need when you realize that the pests have gotten everything else. So did want to mention that I would, if these weren't going in my backyard, I would be direct sowing them. But because they're going in my backyard, and I've just observed, I've wasted a lot of seeds in this backyard by trying to direct sow, and they never come up. So I don't know why. I just know that it's a thing that's happening. So if I could save my seeds, that would be preferable. Also, if you kind of like the like wild type of gardening, where things just kind of come up wherever they would like to come up, I would heavily suggest just taking your dead-headed zinnias or marigolds or anything like that. Just take the dead heads of those and just literally sprinkle them all over the garden. They will probably overwinter, and then they'll just be volunteers the next year. That's how volunteers happen. So I've done that occasionally, and that's how I've gotten some volunteer zinnias and volunteer marigolds, especially in my community plot, but I just haven't done that here for whatever reason. Although I do have a volunteer over there, I'm looking at it, that comes from, when I you know, get flowers and stuff for my community plot, once they're dead, I will literally just like dump them in a corner of the garden. And one of them dried out and dropped seeds. I'm pretty sure it's a Queen Lime Red. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I'd be pretty pumped if it was, because that's one variety I've really enjoyed this year that I want to collect some seeds from, and save those seeds so that I can plant the Queen Lime Red next year. And so this is our last one, El Dorados. These are pretty. I wouldn't put them in like a fall color palette. I think in fall we're looking for like a lot richer like oranges and yellows and reds and you know, kind of to like mimic fall colors. I moved to Texas from Ohio, and we don't get fall colors in Texas, so I plant them instead. Since we don't really get them naturally, I still need them in my life, so I plant them. But the El Dorado is a little more on the sherbet side, less on the like intense, deeply orange-red side. But I do love them. They're really gorgeous. I only planted one of them in my community plot this year, and I wish I had more of them. So our zinnias are planted. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to, I'm out of water. I'm going to go get more water. So we're just going to give these guys a tiny bit of water on the top. This is really just the only thing you got to look out for, is making sure they don't dry out. On the top. So that'll soak in here in a few minutes. And yeah, that's what my imposter syndrome kicked in after I posted my vlog last week of how I destroyed so many seedlings. And this channel is supposed to be about teaching you how to do things. So I wanted to come on and just take my time, be more diligent. The next thing that I'm going to be, oh, some of my seedlings popped out with that water. We're just gonna cover those back up. You go back. Back into your soil. So my imposter syndrome kicked in, and I just wanted to show you how to properly sow seeds, not how to do it the fast way, which is what caused me to have so many issues. So okay, y'all, well, it is hot out here. These seeds might germinate before the week's vlog is up, and if they do, I will make sure to film it. But let me show you where the seedlings are going. That's where the seedlings are going to live for now, and hopefully they all come up. I am still working on amending the other garden beds. It's just a process, takes time. It's freaking hot out here. But let me show you real quick. I'm so proud of my little lemon tree. It is like tripled in size. I'm giving it some good fertilizer. I gave it a bigger pot, and oh, look at that guy. He's so happy. This is a variegated Eureka pink lemon tree, and I've never had a tree before. So if anybody knows, is that a blossom? Is that a blossom that's going to turn into a lemon? I need to know. Very excited about it. So it seems to like this spot. It's very happy. I've never had a tree before, so this is very exciting, the fact that it's like that happy looking. So I may or may not end this vlog later. We will see. Either way, I'll talk to you later in the week. Okay, y'all, it's later in the week. We have some sprouts, and I also have a lemon blossom. Some of our zinnias are coming up. They're doing it. And then I expect these beans to start showing up here. It looks like a few of them are cracking open, doing their thing. Looks like here's one that's gonna crack open. So the beans are next. Said Boons, and she wanted to see what I was talking about. Those are your baby Boons, girl. It's gonna be a while before they have Boons. She got a heavy head, so sometimes I just hold her big heavy head for her, and that's nice, huh, girl? We have a lemon blossom. So I was pretty sure that that's what it was. But now it's actually made a flower. I have no idea if it's going to make a lemon. Like, I don't know how lemons, like do they pollinate? I don't know. There's only one blossom, so probably need to just Google it and see if they self-pollinate, but look at this. Is a flower that's gonna maybe become a lemon. That's so exciting. This is my first fruit tree ever. Alright guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me this week and sowing some beans and some zinnias, checking out my lemon tree. So, thanks so much for watching, happy gardening, and we will see you next time.